Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your participation in today's events. What a dramatic day for all of us. Oh my goodness. I'm grateful for the amount of attention that I've received today. Because it's not about money. It ain't about money. Let's see. Okay, let's shift this over, get a little better view. Anyways, to those who are in the know, no explanation required. For those that don't know, or those that don't understand, no explanation will do. Oh my goodness, I'm in such a good mood right now. So here it is. This is the decent proposal, and I'm sure other people have thought of this, but they have got brought forward in the fact that there's some. I'll close the door here. I don't like being interrupted, but there's some interruptions and sabotage happening with the F35 production in Texas. This is my logical deduction because of my experience with Bombardier and the tail assembly coming up from Mexico. I forget exactly where it was, and the amount of incompetence, or at least the label of incompetence that was influencing the workers, and the workers had the highest paid jobs in the area, and then also they had the contractors, which I was, they almost approached me, I think, or people were suggesting that I should go to Mexico for this reason, and I was like, hell fucking no, that's way too risky, because of the gangs and the collusion with the police in Mexico, and there's a lot of issues with cross border violence. I've seen the videos where the guy, he gets stalked, right? He gets by a bunch of people on bikes. So the world is not as peaceful as we think it is, and the allure of the prestige of aviation, and then also the profit, which is the driving force right behind a lot of this gang activity. It's just something that we can't have for such an advanced aircraft. You can't have these people. Don't let stupid people near the controls ever. Don't fucking do it, right? You'll regret it. The past 10 years or more is proof of that. Oh my goodness. And the amount of incompetence, and of course the infighting and everything else is just even more reasons why I just didn't want to get too involved with most of these production operations, because the smartest thing to do in such a situation is just to back off, honestly. Is not to fight, is not to get into a fight, not to retaliate. Watch the people destroy themselves, right? And gather evidence. That's the smartest thing to do. Observe and report. And as a consequence, obviously, again, I'm saying the production capacity of the F-35 has been hindered so greatly that they're basically not producing any at all, at least by the numbers. So, let's go over the F-35 production news. Upgraded F-35 deliveries slip. This is from defensenews.com. Slipping to fall 2024. So Lockheed Martin's production of the latest F-35 JSF is slipping further behind schedule, and deliveries likely will not resume until the third quarter of 2024. Lockheed CEO Jim Taislet, is that how you pronounce it? Told investors in earnings call that the business now expects to deliver between 75 and 110 F-35s this year. And this was published Tuesday, January 23rd. And it said the company is making progress on the jets enabled with the TR3 upgrades, which would come with software and hardware improvements, including better displays, computer memory, and processing power. But the system maturation process is taking somewhat more time than we originally anticipated. Now, those of you who understand about what disclosure to the public, uh, I'll say no more. But these are realities when it comes to producing such a high value item. And the example that I would use in locale, in like to the context of where I live, was of course the McDonnell Douglas F-18 in the 1980s, when that came into force and replacing the CF-5. And if you remember correctly, Canada still has a stockpile of F-5s. We just don't talk about it very much. And the prestige of the F-5, everyone's like, yeah, whatever. It's just a small little jet. But if it shoots and it scoots, it's a fucking good airplane. And the F-5 is still a good airplane. Just like the F-16, even though I don't like the F-16 because of the side stick. Maybe I'll change my tune if I'm ever in the second seat of one of these aircraft. But until that happens, I'm just not entertained. I'm left-handed, so I'd rather have the stick in the center, like an old school Mustang or Spitfire, or a 109. That's just me, right? Because I don't know. I don't like fly-by-wire. I really don't. I want a solid connection between me and the collective and the vibration of the aircraft, so I know exactly what harmonics it's doing. Right. I'm not saying I'm a helicopter pilot, but the impressions left on me certainly lead me to, well, it's right there. Oh man, because again, when I was in cadets, they were training pilots on the Globemaster, right? And they were doing touch and goes at Trenton all day, all fucking day. You couldn't sleep. Not that you couldn't sleep, but I remember that very well. And let's see. Okay, from this point, moving on from those anecdotes. The point is that there's a lot of skill and there's a lot of talent here in Ontario, and it's a lot more controllable. And I know military people love control, right? Love the traceability, love knowing absolutisms in a world of paranoia, right? Um, so like Ontario here, especially here in London and in St. Thomas, quite frankly, St. Thomas, as some of you may know, was an industrial center. It had Sterling, it had the Ford plant for the Crown Victoria. There's multiple automotive-oriented tertiary suppliers in this area. And there was also Air Canada Jazz, right? We have the University of Western Ontario, and of course Fanshawe, which teach applied sciences and engineering. There's a wealth of people of tradespeople here that used to work in the aviation or automotive industry, and then they became handymen, right? And they're very disappointed. They're very disappointed. I was very disappointed when Air Canada Jazz decided to pull up their heavy maintenance out of here and then go off to Nova Scotia. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, they fucking shut that down too. Like, what the fuck? That the decisions of these businesses really matters and affects so many different people's lives. And, again, there's more than a few aircraft mechanics around here or apprentices that didn't get their licenses because of the infighting and the territoriality of just existence. It's just there wasn't enough meat to go around, and then in some points the threshold of skill in which heavy equipment mechanics were hired in some instances to replace aircraft mechanics without any signing authority, and that's dangerous. I'm not going to go out there and work on a piece of heavy machinery willy-nilly, right? Or a diesel. I'm not going to go do the job of a diesel mechanic. And the thing is that with aviation, because it's the avant-garde, right? It's the very tip of the spear. All tides, say high tides raise all boats, and so the whole area benefits from a secondary production facility in St. Thomas for the F-35. And I've thought about this for a little bit again, and it's my decent proposal. And there's more than enough. There's more than enough veterans and reasons to have participation with the Canadian Air Force in order to facilitate the expansion of the St. Thomas Airport for such a program. And I'm sure the farmers in the area will be like, fine by me, you know. There's a lot of farmers in the area that are in debt up to their eyeballs, and you know, I think they'll give up a little bit of land for a bit of runway space. Fair trade, right? And then again, there's another operation that is a fledgling operation at a couple of AMOs in St. Thomas that deal with Dash 8s and so on and so forth, and then possibly King Airs, because you know, again, London is an industrial, agricultural, technical, and healthcare oriented center. It's a lot cheaper to live here than it is in Toronto, and a lot less congestion. And London in its heyday, say 20 years ago, and again, still when these larger production facilities were open, say like Ford was still open with the Crown Vic, you know, a lot of people were a lot happier, even though, you know, the fallout of industrial and contamination has affected the entire area. You know, again with the chemical production plants in St. Catharines and so on and so forth. So there's an opportunity here to create a net zero factory, like Ferrari, even with the best living standards possible that you can have in a factory, right? So Disha is a good example of that with their green wall and the water filtering for the gray water. Again, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of lessons to be learned, especially from what I've seen across Canada with the different aviation, the AMOs, and people are backwards, right? They don't put any money into dealing with the chemical contamination that follows aviation like a plague, right? I'm going to quote Barry Lapointe here from Kelowna Flightcraft, and in that he says, you know, if I started this company right now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I could not start this company. I could not run this company the way in the night and it's the way I started in the 1970s, right? It's plain and simple truth, to put it lightly. And again, hey, I'm an award-winning aircraft mechanic, so you know, I give respect where it's due to other people. There's people out there that are even better at their jobs than I am, but what I'm really good at is, of course, be an example, be the best leader that I can be, because you know I'm getting too injured for a lot of this stuff now, and I really gotta watch what kind of physical activity I get into. So non-impact sports, that sort of thing, because the wisest thing is to know your limitations and when to stop, right? And so again, you know, the decent proposal to Lockheed Martin is bring the F-35 here, bring it to St. Thomas, and then we'll get the Army Corps of Engineers to expand the runway. Right? We've got even more reasons to give people a morale boost and more reasons to live and to raise ourselves out of despondency, because of the depression and the fallout of COVID, quite frankly. And then also the economic warfare, the extraordinary warfare that's been waged against Canada and the United States collectively by foreign actors, right? We are cleaning house right now, and that's what I want to see. And, you know, again, thank you for tuning in and being part of this. I couldn't do it without you, even though I'm facing some censorship for my, you know, my potty mouth, or my offensive sense of humor. But, you know, that's the way it is. That's how you fight censorship. That's how you fight this Leviathan that's trying to overtake and destroy, atomize, and completely, disable the country as it is. Because the alternative is not that pretty. And any veteran will tell you that. Thank you.